All right, guys, so we just tore off this roof, and what we found was old 3/8 plywood CDX sheathing. 3/8 it's very thin. It's a 3-ply, so it's 3 layers of thin sheathing, essentially adhered, glued, fused together. And the issue with 3/8 is, one, it's thin, but two, any moisture that gets under the shingles and soaks into the wood, or moisture that gets into the attic space and kind of soaks into the bottom side of the wood, will cause delamination of the plywood. So you got the 3 plies, 1, 2, 3. It'll start to slowly pull apart, and then it'll cause delamination, and it'll just soften the wood because it's not as structurally sound. So if the 3 plies are stuck together, it's pretty solid. It's still thin for sheathing, but when it starts to loosen, it becomes more flimsy and has more give to it. So as you can see, I'm walking right here, and you can hear the cracking in it, and it's just giving. So what we had to do upon tearing the roof, we reviewed it with the homeowners. It's old, it's soft, it's delaminating, and 3/8 is no longer code. So we explained to the homeowners a resheet of the entire roof deck was necessary in this instance. So what we did is we resheeted with 7/16 OSB sheathing. This right here is the new sheathing, 7/16 OSB. This is the old school 3/8 CDX plywood. You can see right here, if you zoom in, the 7/16 plywood is thicker than the 3/8 plywood, as you can see with this jump up right here. Now, what I want to review with you guys today is how we install the 7/16 OSB when we do a resheet. Even if you install 1/2 inch CDX, 3/4 inch CDX plywood, it doesn't matter. It all installs the same when it comes to fastener requirements and when it comes to H-clips. So as we move over here, you can see the new 7/16 OSB sheathing. When we fasten, code requires that we nail a minimum every 6 inches apart. Right here, the guys nailed, this is 3 inches, this is 3 inches, this is about 4 to 5, this is 6, this is 3, this is 2, this is 2, 3. So we try to go above and beyond with our fastening and everything that we do. But in this instance, it's super important that when you fasten sheathing, whether on a wall or on a roof deck in our region, South Carolina near the coast in Charleston, you need to fasten no more than 6 inches apart to the rafters. So you're fastening the sheathing to the rafters. So therefore, you should have over 40 fasteners per piece of wood that's being installed on the roof deck. So that's the fastening requirements, every 6 inches. So you'll see it here, you'll see it here, you'll see it here. This is a good one. They snapped a line to see where the rafter was to make sure they were nailing to the rafter. That's another important factor when it comes to fastening the sheathing. A lot of guys will just go crazy fastening the sheathing with the framing nails, and they'll miss a rafter. So there'll be areas where it's kind of jumping up, it's not secure, and it's a little flimsy. So it's super important to snap lines, as you can see this red chalk line, and then we fasten to the rafters along the chalk line, no more than 6 inches apart on the entire sheet of wood. The next thing I want to show you guys are the H-clips. This right here is an H-clip, quote unquote hurricane clip, if you will, some terminology, jargon in the industry. There's a couple reasons why H-clips are important. One, it creates an inevitable 1/8 inch gap between the sheets of wood. If you don't have this spacing between the wood, the sheets of wood, when it expands and contracts, because wood does move a little bit and the temperature swings. So right now I'm on a roof, you can already see I'm sweating. It feels like 120 degrees up here. We're in the dead of summer. Over winter, Charleston can get down to 30, 25, 35 degrees. Those temperature swings cause movement in all siding materials, roofing materials, sheathing, framing, wood, what have you. So this 1/8 inch gap protects any buckling of sheathing. So when it gets real hot and the wood starts to expand, it'll prevent buckling. So if this was installed in the winter and we didn't install H-clips and we ran the sheathing tight, well, when summer hits and it starts to expand, it's gonna buckle. And then it'll cause a buckle in the roof shingles. So that's one reason why H-clips are important. It creates an inevitable 1/8 inch gap. The next reason H-clips are important is because they're installed between the framing members. So you got your rafters running vertical on the roof. So here's a rafter, you can see the red chalk line. Here's a rafter, you can see the red chalk line. This H-clip right here will cause more structural integrity to the two sheets of wood that are lining up. So if I stand here, it's more structurally sound because there's an H-clip right there, because this is between the framing members. So this keeps the wood locked together, just gives it more rigidity and less give when you step on it. If this H-clip wasn't here, these two pieces of wood would give more. With the H-clip on it, it's keeping them kind of woven together, if you will, like this. It's locking the two sheets together. So that's the second reason why H-clips are important. And then wind uplift. So we're on the coast, hurricanes happen along the coast. So the H-clips are supposed to help with wind uplift to prevent sheets of wood in a hurricane flying off and going everywhere at other people's houses. So those are the three reasons why H-clips are super important when installing new sheathing on a roof system. Another component to be mindful of when you're installing new sheathing on a roof deck or on a wall of a home, it's critical that the sheets, the seams don't line up and four corners don't meet. And what I mean by that is, as you can see on this roof deck, when we put the new sheets of wood, they staggered the seams. You never want four corners aligning, so a staggered offset prevents that from occurring, because that could be an easy leak point, and it's just more structurally sound if you stagger the joints on this offset pattern. So right here you can kind of see what's under the roof sheathing. All it is rafter framing. The rafters extend from the ridge to the eaves of a house. Depending on the truss package, there's so many different truss packages, you still fasten the sheathing to the rafters. So as you can see right here, each of these rafters are 24 inches apart. Some old school homes will have 16-inch on center rafters, but the majority of homes framed now are 24-inch on center, the framing components, the rafters. So as you can see right here, you have rafters every 24 inches, and a sheet of plywood, or OSB, is a 4x8 sheet of wood. When you're installing OSB or plywood on a roof system, you want the plywood to run horizontally so you can stagger your seams better on your offset, which we'll explain to you as well. So we ran all these horizontal, and because it's 8 foot long, the plywood or OSB sheets, it's always going to fall on a rafter because 8 feet is divisible by 24 inches. So when you're fastening the sheathing to the rafters, because a sheet of plywood or OSB is 4x8 and the 4 foot section is running horizontally, so 4 times 12 is 48 inches, you would divide 48 inches by 6 inches apart, minimum framing distance of the framing nails required along the rafters. That would give you 8 framing nails per rafter, and then you multiply that for the 5 rafters that this sheet of wood lies on. So that means per sheet, you'd go 8 times 5 rafters, 8 times 5 is 40. You would have 40 framing nails per sheet of wood when installing new sheathing on a house. Chimney crickets are required by code when the width of the chimney, the backside, is parallel to the ridge and it's wider than 30 inches. So the width of this chimney, if it's 30 inches or wider and the backside is parallel to the ridge, you need a chimney cricket. So the good news is they have a chimney cricket, and what it does, when water runs down the slope, it's going to divert water to the sides of the chimney and around the chimney. It's super important to make sure the crew, wraps their step flash on the corner so water drains to the side properly, and then at the bottom we'll put diverters. If that cricket wasn't there, you have a 30+ inch wide penetration coming out of a roof. Water's just going to sit there, ice will sit there, and it'll start working its way back up under the shingles and leaking into the home. So it's super important, again, to have a chimney cricket. If there's not a chimney cricket upon tearing off a roof and it meets a criteria for having to have a chimney cricket, i.e. more than 30 inches wide, backside of the penetration running parallel to the ridge line, you need to add and frame a chimney cricket in, just like you would new sheathing on a house, framing, and then create it so you can divert water to the sides and away from behind whatever penetration there is. Typically it's a chimney.